The Bell Witch. America's most famous haunting. The dense woods of Adams, Tennessee, have long held their secrets. Among them lies one of the most terrifying tales in American history, the legend of the Bell Witch. Many have dismissed it as folklore, but those who dare to investigate the story soon find themselves questioning their disbelief. In the early 1800s, the Bell family claimed to have been haunted by an invisible entity, a spirit that spoke, screamed, and tormented them relentlessly. For centuries, the legend has lingered, but now, a new chapter of terror is about to unfold. A modern investigation. Julia and her brother Michael were amateur paranormal investigators with a growing YouTube channel. Drawn by the allure of the Bell Witch legend, they decided to visit the site of the haunting, a quiet plot of land near the Red River, where the Bell family's cabin once stood. "I've got a feeling about this one," Julia said, setting up her camera. "This isn't like our other investigations. This place, it feels alive." Michael shrugged, loading batteries into an EMF detector. "It's just a story, Jules. Let's get some footage, freak ourselves out a little, and call it a night." But deep down, even he couldn't shake the oppressive weight in the air. The first encounter. As the sun set, the siblings walked through the woods, the only sounds being their footsteps crunching leaves and the occasional rustling of branches. The Bell Witch Cave, a small, eerie cavern tied to the legend, loomed ahead. Julia turned on the camera. Legend has it that the Bell Witch tormented John Bell and his family until his death. Some say the spirit still lingers here, waiting for anyone foolish enough to disturb it. Michael shined his flashlight into the cave, the beam cutting through the darkness. "Well, here we are. Ready to meet the famous witch?" The air inside the cave was damp and cold, colder than it should have been for a summer night. As they ventured deeper, Julia paused. "Do you hear that?" Michael stopped and listened. At first, there was only silence. Then, faintly, came the sound of whispering. It was distant, unintelligible, but unmistakably human. "Hello?" Julia called, her voice trembling. The whispers stopped. The only response was the sound of their own breathing. The haunting begins that night. The siblings set up their equipment near the remains of the Bell family's original homestead. Cameras, motion detectors, and an audio recorder were placed strategically. Around midnight, the activity began. The motion detector near the woods went off, its beeping cutting through the silence. Julia and Michael rushed to check the camera feed. The monitor showed nothing but the empty woods. "Probably just an animal," Michael said, though his voice wavered. Julia frowned. "Look closer. There's something there." On the edge of the frame, barely visible, was a shadowy figure. It didn't move like a person. It shifted unnaturally, flickering in and out of focus. A loud knock came from the table behind them, making them jump. The audio recorder had moved several inches on its own. "Okay, this is getting weird," Michael muttered. Julia picked up the recorder and played back the audio. The playback was faint at first, static and faint rustling. Then, a low, guttural voice growled, "Get out." A night of terror. The siblings decided to pack up and leave, but as they began to gather their equipment, the temperature plummeted. Their breath became visible in the frigid air. The sound of footsteps echoed around them, circling the campsite. Michael spun with his flashlight, but no one was there. Then, the whispering returned, louder this time, overlapping voices that filled the air. One voice rose above the others, clear and sharp. "Leave this place, or you'll never leave at all." Suddenly, Julia screamed. A sharp, burning pain shot through her back. Michael turned to see deep red scratches appearing on her skin, as if invisible claws were raking across her. "Run!" Julia shouted, clutching her side. They grabbed what they could and sprinted toward their car. The woods seemed alive, branches clawing at them as they ran. Behind them, the whispers turned into an ear-splitting scream. When they finally reached the car, Michael fumbled with the keys. The engine roared to life, and they sped away, not daring to look back. The aftermath. Back at home, Julia and Michael reviewed their footage. The shadowy figure appeared multiple times, always lurking just at the edge of the frame. In one clip, it moved closer, its shape shifting into that of a woman with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. The audio was worse. Voices spoke in a language neither of them recognized, interspersed with chilling threats. "You cannot escape. You are mine." A week later, Julia woke to find the word, "witch," scratched into her bedroom wall. Michael reported hearing footsteps in his apartment, though he lived alone. They tried to destroy the footage, hoping to break the connection. But every time they deleted it, the files reappeared. The haunting wasn't confined to Adams, it had followed them home. To this day, their channel remains dormant,